One thing I was always curious, even before we linked up, is how did you start into running? I've watched a lot of the videos, probably almost all of them. After at least in the last year and a half, how did you start running? You know, how did Japan to Perth come about?
Yeah, so there was a lot in between Japan and Perth as well, so that's the interesting bit. I guess not all of it's relevant to running, but just for a bit of context, I am Japanese, I was born there, but I only lived there till I was 8, and then I moved to Thailand, to like a nice tropical island called Phuket. It's a good holiday destination, but there's a really good international British school there, and I did most of my schooling there, so ended primary school, middle school, high school, graduated from there. But yeah, during that time, I did a ton of different sports. I was really into, seeing what else is out there. So I was pretty into stuff like table tennis, badminton, football, basketball, swimming, cycling. Like I really did a bit of everything, to be honest. And yeah, I think all of those sports kind of helped out with building that general fitness up. Because when you're a kid, you can afford to do all those crazy stuff. But as I got older, I realized that my strengths kind of lie in the enduring stuff, and even in stuff like football, which again in Australia and the US you call it soccer. But yeah, I knew that I was more of an endurance background kind of guy, and I started dabbling a bit in track. Not crazy serious though. I just had a US track coach, and apparently he used to race Galen Rupp and stuff, like when he was really young or whatever, which is pretty cool. But yeah, did a lot of track stuff. Not many easy runs, but because of all the track stuff, I managed to get my speed quite good, which I think does help me to this day still as well. So yeah, I'm happy with that sort of upbringing. Did a bunch of speed. And for university, I moved to Sydney, Australia, which is where the marathon just happened, the world major. But anyway, it wasn't a major back then. But yeah, kind of started dabbling a bit more in running there. That was 2018 when I moved there. But I was only doing like 20, 30 kilometers a week back then. And yeah, during COVID is when I started picking it up a lot more, which is the same as you. I know you picked up running more in COVID as well, which is awesome. But yeah, during COVID, suddenly ramped it up to about 62 miles a week, which is like 100 Ks a week. And luckily, I didn't really get any major injuries or anything like that. So I managed to get a lot of fitness from that sudden ramp up. I wouldn't do that if I were to go back in time, to be honest. I would be more gradual with the build up. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I think it was a good way to kill time during COVID. And yeah, never stopped from there. Just started doing all sorts of races.
So you started running around like 20K consistently, and you had those early endeavors in racing. When did it become like serious for you, and you knew you had like ability?
Yeah. In high school, when I was only doing the track stuff, I was still one of the better runners in my school because it wasn't that competitive in track. So I think that gave me a lot of motivation to do more. Yeah, I did a bunch of like road 10K races and stuff like that as well. So I got the motivation from there, but I think that was before COVID. And after COVID, when I started ramping up the training more, because I saw the improvements from there, that's probably when I really fell down the rabbit hole of endurance running. Yeah.
Gotcha. Um, what were your times like? Do you remember some of that?
Yeah. So I'd say before COVID, it was like 18 something for the 5K, probably like
That's
18,
awesome.
19 off memory. Yeah. So just under 18, 20. And then during COVID, I ramped up the training, did it for like 6 months without testing my fitness, and then I finally tried like a 5K time trial alone, and then I managed to do 16:27. So that was quite a big jump from 18
Yeah.
in 6 months. Yeah.
You just did base training for 6 months, man. I kind of envy you. I wish I did that when I started. I don't know what I was doing when I started. Was it just base training? Did you know about strides at the time, or just any speed work, or just go out the door and go?
Yeah, I mean, we had this weird rule in Australia, which is for the better, obviously, but I think we had to stick to like a 5 kilometer radius from our house, so we couldn't go further than that. So we were kind of restricted to the area, and you could meet up with, depending on the time of year, like with one other person or a few other people, depending on how crazy COVID was at the time. But I guess I linked up with a few people for a few speed sessions, but I'd say most of it was more to like clear my head and have something to do during COVID because that's the only time you can go outside. So yeah, most of it was base training, I would say, but with a few fast stuff trickled in. But I didn't really do strides back then, so if I was doing a speed session, it would be like a proper workout and not just strides at the end of an easy run or anything like that. And yeah, it's nice that I improved a lot from that. And I think because I already came from quite a speed background, I think doing that base training and increasing my mileage really helped a lot, which is where that huge performance gain came from.